Imagine a world where human error collided with nuclear ambition. In 1986, a single error released poison into the atmosphere, affecting bodies and rewriting science. This was not fiction. It is Chernobyl. Here, we'll uncover 10 brutally honest facts about what really happened at Chernobyl and why they still matter today. Some of these truths have been buried for decades, while others are only now being revealed. 1. Safety systems were disabled. On April 26, 1986, workers at Reactor 4 turned off essential safety systems to conduct a low-power test, a decision that had fatal consequences. Without the reactor's emergency shutdown measures and a containment dome, a sudden power surge caused 2 large explosions, exposing the core and spreading lethal radiation across Europe. 2. Initial death toll was just the start. The explosion killed only 2 factory workers. However, during the next 3 months, 28 firefighters and plant operators died from acute radiation sickness after rushing in without proper protective equipment. That initial death toll was simply the tip of the disaster that would trouble hundreds of thousands of people. 3. The Soviet cover-up backfired. For nearly 36 hours, Soviet leaders denied that anything was wrong, until Swedish power plants detected radioactivity and forced a confession. Residents of Pripyat had already inhaled radioactive air and drank poisoned water as military gas masks patrolled the streets. 4. Forced relocation of hundreds of thousands. The evacuations began 36 hours after the incident. Around 116,000 people were relocated from Pripyat, followed by another 230,000 from surrounding areas. Older residents returned briefly, believing it would be temporary, only to lose their houses permanently. Entire settlements were eventually buried beneath tons of concrete, rubble, and earth. 5. Liquidators, the invisible army. Up to 600,000 men and women, many of them were military or conscripts, were sent as liquidators to clean up the site without proper protection or instruction. Some were enlisted or excluded from the military and assigned to areas where machines failed. They spent only seconds on the roof, scooping radioactive waste by hand. 6. Death toll of the liquidators. Official Soviet figures remain vague. Around 6,000 liquidator deaths are roughly attributed to cleaning efforts. However, some independent investigations place numbers closer to 100,000 by 2005, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, and mental health decline. Many survivors today deal with PTSD, depression, and other diseases. 7. Red forest and wildlife mutations. Called the Red Forest after the pine trees turned ginger from intense radiation, this woodland was bulldozed and buried. Yet over time, wildlife rebounded, and with it, strange mutations. Some birds developed smaller brains, reproductive issues appeared in farm animals, and mutations soared 20-fold in plants and animals. 8. Cancer, the hidden legacy. Thyroid cancer rates increased, particularly among children, resulting in approximately 1,800 verified instances and at least 6,000 metabolic disorders associated to radiation. Many survivors were left with the so-called Chernobyl necklace, the scar of a removed thyroid gland. 9. Psychological trauma ran deep. Radiation was deadly, but anxiety and uncertainty were even more dangerous. Numerous evacuees and liquidators suffered from anxiety, sadness, PTSD, drug abuse, and despair as a result of the mental health impact. For many, life after cleanup was like surviving a psychological bomb. 10. Containment, temporary and fragile. Within 7 months, an unsecured sarcophagus was built over Reactor 4, resulting in radioactive leaks. In 2016, engineers slipped a huge, new safe confinement arch over it, which is expected to endure 100 years. But after that, radioactive materials remain harmful for tens of thousands of years. We simply pushed the issue down the road. Finally, Chernobyl was more than just a reactor failure. It was also a failure of human systems, with safety being replaced by secrecy and replaced by silence. The result? Lives were lost, survivors were scarred, nature was altered, and a radioactive legacy lasted into the far future. The sarcophagus may help, but it does not change the fact that Chernobyl will haunt humanity for generations.